Do we have one other caller?
I'm here. Amy Cummings. I don't see Amy yet.
Amy did let me know that she was going to be a little late. Amy and
Okay.
Frankie both said they'd be a little late.
David Deviney is here. Josh here. Don't see Josh yet. Susie Lacer. Ruth Linos, I see you, Ruth.
Yes.
Sherry Moore is here.
Here.
Eugene Organ is here. Franny, are you here yet? Okay, Emily is here. Carl is here. And I'm here. So we definitely have a quorum. And we may get a couple of people joining us as we move on. In fact, I expect a couple of people to join us. Is there anybody on the committee who was not a member of the committee last year? Okay. I think we will have, Kate, are we likely to have one or two new members?
Yes, we are likely to have a few members. The application window to apply to be a new member just closed yesterday. So staff will make recommendations to the LTD board, and the LTD board will officially appoint new members in October. There will be new members starting in the November meeting.
Great, great. Okay, well, this is our first meeting of the STIF advisory group, and it's only the second round of STIF funding. So we broke new ground last year and on the first round 2 years ago. And this is our opportunity to move into the second round of funding. And thank heavens, it looks like there is a little money for the second round of funding. Kate Kate has done a great job of organizing us, and we're in great shape. So we'll see that that will come to fruition as Kate kind of leads us through some of the items on the agenda. So, in fact, what the agenda primarily consists of tonight is a review and kind of an overview of the process, because it's been a couple of years since we've done this. And so Kate will walk us through that. We will have an opportunity for audience participation. At some point, Kate, would you also give instructions for anyone from the audience who would like to participate as to how they can do that? And this point, why don't I be quiet and Kate, let you go ahead and start the agenda review.
Okay, so yeah, I think as Mike said, today we're mostly going to talk about kind of a refresher on all the different stiff pots of money that are available, and a little bit about this timeline for each of them. And then we'll talk a little bit about our timeline as a committee, because it's more condensed. It feels a little more condensed to me than last time. So we will talk about that. This is the time when, if there is any public comment, the public is asked to give comment now, and each person is allowed 3 minutes to speak. I have not heard from anyone that they would like to give public comment. If you are on the phone and would like to give public comment, can you please introduce yourself? Okay.
Is there anybody who would like to make public comment?
Okay. So I think then we'll keep moving along, and I think this will be a shortened meeting today since it is a review and there's no action required of you all this time. And so I will start the review. Please, you can interrupt me if there are any questions, and we'll get moving. So just as a quick reminder.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Sherry.
In the future, could we have a list of members? Am I seeing a list of members anywhere here?
No, I did revise the agenda to include it for Mike, but I'll make sure to get you all an updated copy that's got it in future.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, just as a quick reminder, there are several different pots of funding that is available. I did actually also, sorry, just had a quick private chat to ask people to remember to mute yourselves if you are not speaking right now, so we can limit the amount of feedback that we're getting. I know that can be sometimes a little bit trickier as a caller, but if you can mute yourself on your phone, that would be great.
So it looks like there's one person on the phone, maybe, CO, who is not muted. Everyone else is muted, but we are getting a fair amount of feedback.
Oh, this is Eugene. I'm not muted because
if you could mute until you. If you could
I can't see the mute button.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Eugene, we might just mute you briefly from the staff side. I can do it as an admin administrator, and so we'll mute you, but then we'll make sure to unmute you during the time to ask questions, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
There's one other person, CG. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, Camille.
Hi, Mike. Yes, I am actually muted on my phone side.
I see. Okay, got it. Okay, well, I'll mute myself and let Kate take it away.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, so as you remember from last time, there are 3 different funds. The formula funds are the ones that we spent the majority of the time on last cycle and will again. That's 90% of all funds, and I'll go into that a little bit more later. Then right now, the actual only solicitation that is available is for the other 2 types of funds, well, technically 3 types of funds that are available, which are the stiff discretionary funds, and then the statewide transit network funds, which is broken up based on 2 different funds, one of which is actually a federal 5311F intercity fund, and one is the stiff intercommunity fund. So as I said, ODOT did announce this solicitation in the beginning of September for the discretionary fund and the statewide transit network funds. And and you can see here the breakdown of what's anticipated for all funds for the next 2 years. I think a good thing to keep in mind that is good for me to remember is the last time we did this cycle, we actually were collecting, they were collecting 3 years worth of funds. This year it's 2, because we're now officially on the biennium schedule. Another important thing that we're going to keep discussing is that at this point, the ODOT economic impact it always lags behind. And so it's a little bit impossible right now to tell based on their most recent estimates how that's going to impact going forward into the biennium. So just always keep in mind that right now, the latest latest economic impact we have from ODOT is from July, and those couldn't really take into effect because of the way they lag a lot of the COVID impact. But you can see here that these 3 funds are broken up to be a total of about $9.5 million for the STIF discretionary, 7.6 for the intercommunity, and 1.9 for the Section 53F intercity. And I'm going to talk about each of them a little bit more. So again, for these particular funds, the solicitation has opened. Actually, the solicitation has opened, but you all will not actually weigh in on any applications here in Lane County until at least December. We're talking about these first because the solicitation is available now, but we're going to probably have to cycle back around to these in either December or January and talk about them. But I think it's good to remember that the discretionary funds are often more one-time type of transit funds. They can be used for pilot projects. And you can, I put a lot of information on all these slides so that you can read them and come back and look at them, and I'll make sure they're available to everyone. But just kind of as a memory right now, and again, we'll talk about that when we actually get the applications in later this year. But good to think about discretionary funds are sort of those one-time, they're buses, they're capital projects, planning projects, etc. Then the STIF and your community funds are also for capital projects, but also a lot for ongoing operations. So if you'll remember in the last round, you recommended that the Eugene to Florence route and the Florence to Yachouts route were funded partially through this funding, and ODOT did award that funding. So these are mostly longer rural routes that are running. And then those work hand in hand with the FTA 5311F intercity funds, which is a particular smaller pot of money, but can also be for capital projects and then for operations projects. So this one is different. If you'll notice with the other 2, they both require either a 10 or 20% match. The FTA funds require a much higher match, especially for operations.
So Kate, will the advisory committee be making recommendations on all the funds that you just reviewed with us?
Yes. So this, here's a good summary of sort of what the timeline looks like for these 3 types of funds. So for these 3 types of funds, they sent out the notice of solicitation, and all public transit service providers in the state of Oregon will apply directly to ODOT for these funds. Then ODOT staff will review all of the applications, and then they will pull out any that are relevant to us here in Lane County, and they'll send them back to you all as the advisory committee. And they'll say, here's all the project applications that are for your area. When you look at them, you can make comment on them, and you can choose to rank them if you would like. So that's what you all will be asked to do. Again, we should have those applications back, I think, probably in December. So it'll either at our December or January meeting discuss those. I know I'm talking a lot. But like I said, hopefully there's a lot of information on this.
Again, this is Phil. Just making certain I've got my calendar up properly. It looks to me as though there's 1 meeting in December, 2 in November, and 1 in January, if I've got that right.
Yes, that is the tentative schedule.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So again, we will talk about this more once the formal solicitation has gone out for formula funds. And I know that this is a lot of information to have on one slide, so I don't expect you all to read it all right this moment, but I think it is important to keep in mind what you all are tasked with doing, which will be to review each of the applications and to prioritize the projects that are submitted based on these particular allotment areas. So you can look at these, and a big focus of STIF is that low income households will be positively impacted. So I think that that is an important thing moving forward, that we want to make sure that that happens. I think this committee was really thoughtful in the last biennium and making sure that happened and really thinking about these priorities. Another big point of interest when this funding was available, I know, Phil, you can talk about this maybe more than I can, is that there is some transit for students in K in 9 through 12, which was implemented last year through the Student Pass program through LTD. But I think overall, this is really good to keep in mind as you're thinking about these projects and seeing and viewing them. So as mentioned, we do hope to have 5 meetings before January, which will be a fairly fast timeline, including asking you all to meet twice in November. This timeline is partially to try to work out through the holidays and make sure that we can get everything in that we do need to get in. And again, I want to ask for a little bit of flexibility until we get the solicitation. So I won't send out calendar invites until we get officially that this will be when we can meet. But I do want to propose this and say that this is 90% sure the schedule we're going to have, and hopefully be able to get a quorum at each meeting and moving forward. Does anybody have a question about schedule? Concerns? I do also want to acknowledge that November 3rd is election day, but I think we have an early enough meeting.
So, Kate, before we do any more conversation, I guess I would like to remind folks that this meeting is a public meeting. We're being recorded, and that recording serves as our minutes, if I recall. Is that right, Kate?
That is correct, yes.
And how do committee members get access to the recording should they want to go back and review what we did?
The meeting is always available. Let me see if
Maybe you can just send those instructions out to us.
Yeah, I can do that.
So Amy, it looked like you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, Kate, I have a question about the start time for the meetings. Would it be 3:30 again for all of these, most likely? Okay.
Yes, that is, and I'm really basing this on what we had done in the last biennium. I think it was originally scheduled back when we used to get to see each other in person. It was scheduled to be back to back with the LTD SPC meeting because there were members that were serving on both. So it would be, kind of one trip. But the plan right now is 3:30. If there are strong objections to that, we can see about potentially moving it. But I would probably need to hear committee feedback on that.
So can you unmute Eugene, Kate, just to see if Eugene has any questions or comments you'd like to make?
I have nothing.
Okay, thanks, Eugene. Anybody else? Questions, comments, thoughts? I will also mention that we have a new staff member adding to the LCOG team there. Rachel, do you want to raise your hand so people can see who you are? This is Rachel Dorfman, and
Hi, everyone.
she's helped Kate put this together and joined me with Kate in an earlier meeting to get ready for this meeting. Sherry, did you have something?
I just had a question about where this presentation is, and I'm looking at my email that came yesterday, and there was a tap to download. Is that where it is?
This presentation, this PowerPoint, I will send out after the meeting is over. I haven't sent out
Okay.
the PowerPoint yet. So the packet you should have now, but I will send out the PowerPoint.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's just very concise and I wanted to share it with the council. And so this would be helpful.
Okay, great. No problem.
Any other questions, comments for Kate? This stuff is, go ahead.
This is Phil. Are we going to be receiving any information about how the various transit organizations are doing? That's an update from what we got last time at one of our meetings. I know, for example, that LTD is moving right ahead with electrification, for example. But I'm wondering if we're going to hear anything about that as part of background material.
Kate, I don't know maybe Tom. Well, it's really for us to decide if we'd like to do that. We can ask LTD to do that, and we can put that on the agenda, Phil, to get information about how LTD has done with what we have approved. And then we've got, I think, under the discretionary and what was that? Under the other areas, we could get an update on those as well. Tom, and then we'll go to Ruth.
Yeah, I'm just going to say we'd be happy to bring back what we were able to do and talk a little bit about what we weren't able to do during this period of time.
Great. Ruth, you're unmuted. You had something you want to add?
Yes, I just wanted to be reminded what was the protocol if we had any questions about our roles, or are we communicating with you, Kate, and then you will disseminate any questions so that we all get the same information as we're working through this process?
Yes, I can do that. If you have any questions about your roles, you can send them to me and I'll reply all to the committee and let the committee know.
Okay.
And then you'll share that with the entire committee.
Yes.
Great, great. Sherry, did you have something?
So yes, I had a question from one of the council members about how funds were expended from last time and what happens to those funds that we were unable to use because of COVID, which changed a whole lot of things. But is there and maybe that comes from LTD, just a graph that shows the monies that came in from STIF and how they were spent and what's happening to those funds that were not able to be expended?
Yes, Sherry, this is Tom. We'd be happy to do something like that. I'll tell you, we were successful in working with some of the other transit districts in the state to make some of that funding that was, we just couldn't add service, for example, during this period of time. The legislature has given us some flexibility with respect to those funds as well, and we can speak to that.
Gary, I will add one more thing, that is those funds do stay within Lane County. So if they weren't able to be spent in the last cycle, then they will roll up into continuation to be spent in Lane County. And so I'm not sure if ODOT will provide more guidance about what that will look in future bienniums or not in the upcoming solicitation, but that is very clear in the rulemaking that it stays here.
Any other comments, questions?
Guidance regarding STIF formula revenues. We should be seeing a new estimate shortly for the STIF payroll tax revenue. And just to echo what you said, the unspent funds from the 1921 biennium and LTD STIF plan will be rolled into the next biennium, along with the interest
okay, Mark. It was a little hard to hear you. It sounded like you were saying that we'll get more information about the budget as that information becomes available. Did I get that summarized about correct? I'm sorry, Mark. We're not hearing you at all now.
I'll just use the phone then. I didn't get the gist of that question. Can you repeat it, please?
Well, I was just saying that your first comment was a little hard to hear. Maybe if you could just summarize your first comment on the phone. That came through very clearly when you were on the phone.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, the speaker is not working that well. So the first part of the conversation is that there will be estimates, new estimates of the STIF revenue. I understand those should be coming in October this month. It usually takes the Department of Revenue several weeks to package the data for dissemination to the qualified entities. So you should expect that. I would anticipate sometime in November, the numbers to be released by ODOT. That would be the updated numbers from June. And my understanding, the June numbers were approximately 8% below the original STIF revenue estimates for statewide. Additionally, Kate was correct. The unspent STIF funds from the 19 to 21 biennium would roll into the 21-23 biennium, along with any interest income earned in the first biennium.
Thanks. That's helpful information to have. Anybody else? I'm not seeing anybody else going unmuted to indicate they'd like to speak. So maybe I will, we'll move on to the next part of the agenda. I would like to thank everybody for joining the committee or rejoining the committee. This is kind of a neat committee because it doesn't last forever. We've got a very specifically focused task. So we can just dive right in, get it done, and then watch the good things happen. But I realize it still does require time from each of you and want to express appreciation for your willingness to participate in this second round. Maybe we should also take just a second to let anybody who's on staff just unmute for a moment, introduce yourself and say what your role is on the staff so that the committee can be reminded of who all the staff members are. And how do we do this in order? I'm not sure who NM is. Neil. Oh, Neil's on the Metro TV. So I assume you're recording this for so that we've got a record. Then I'll go to John. You want to just introduce yourself? You're still on mute, John. There you go.
Hey there, I'm John Allen. I'm the Accessible Services Program Manager at Lane Transit.
Thanks, John. Jennifer?
Hi, also with LTD. I'm a Senior Development Planner.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Christina?
Hi, I'm Christina Shu, and I'm Lane Transit District's Director of Finance.
Ah. And Cosette?
Hi, I'm Cosette Reese, and I'm the Director of Specialized Services at LTD.
Dolores?
I'm Dolores.
Sorry.
feedback. I work in the finance department.
Dolores, I think you may be on here twice. So we got a little bit of an echo.
I know, I'm trying to use my phone. Anyway, I'm with LTD Finance.
Thank you. Wendy. We'll come back to Wendy. Let's see who else we have here. Mark. And your phone worked better than your computer when you were talking to us before.
Yeah, even the speaker isn't too sharp on this one. This is Mark Bernard. I am a regional transit coordinator with ODOT.
Thank you. Robin.
Hi, I'm Robin Mail. I'm the IT director at Lane Transit District.
Thank you. Colina.
Good evening. This is Colina Beard, Director of Business Services at LTD.
Thank you. I'm not sure who caller 5 is. Oh, is that? I'm not sure. Okay.
That may be Eugene.
No, it's not Eugene's initials. It says CO. I'm not sure who that is. And then Camille, I see you there.
My name's Camille. I'm the clerk of the board for Lane Transit District.
Thank you. Matt.
Matt is our director of fleet.
Okay, and then Tom.
Tom Schwetz, director of planning.
And AJ.
AJ, the general manager. Thank you and welcome to the committee for reconvening back this year. Thank you for your time.
Great. Is there anybody from the staff who I missed? There was someone I was going to try to come back to, but I don't remember who it was.
This is Wendy Frisbee. If you guys had my name, I was having difficulties there for a minute with my internet connection. So if you guys called me out, I do apologize. I'm the procurement manager for LTD.
Great.
I just started in, yes, thank you. I just started in March, March. Great.
So I think that's everybody. This was a little easier when we were all sitting around a table and we could see each other. But it is what it is. So now we'll go on. The next thing that is on the agenda is to elect officers. And there are two positions, the chair and vice chair. So why don't we take nominations for the chair position right now?
Could I make an inquiry?
Go ahead, Phil.
I remember that you're the chair. I forget who the vice chair is, or was last time.
Was it you, Amy? I can't quite remember either. Was Amy?
I think so, yeah. Yes.
It's a very
Mike did a great job.
It's been a while.
Mike, would it be in order to move that we reappoint the officers for this year? And if so, I'd make that motion.
Amy, are you willing to serve?
Yes, if you want.
I am also willing to. Are there?
I will second that motion.
Okay.
Maybe I'll inquire if anybody with a burning desire to do it, but
yeah. I'm not seeing anybody unmute. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to continue the current officer slate into this next round of funding. Kate, I'm not sure how you want to do this vote. If you want to do a roll call or what's the best way to do that?
I think probably a roll call is
Okay, I'll just run down the list then.
is official way.
Bill,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
David? Can't hear you, David.
Yes.
Josh, did Josh make it? I don't think Josh is here. Susie?
Yes.
Ruth?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
We're gonna need to unmute Eugene. Eugene?
Yes.
Emily? Wait, I'm not sure if Emily's a voting member. No, okay. Carl's not a voting member. I think we've polled everyone who's a voting member. Did I leave anybody out, Kate? Okay. Okay, so that motion passes. Congratulations, Amy. We will continue to try to keep the meeting organized and on track. We've pretty much talked about the schedule. Does anybody have any other questions or comments about the schedule? Go ahead, Phil.
Oh, not me.
Okay.
I'll go back on mute.
All right. Kate, did you have anything else you wanted to say about that?
No, like I said, as soon as we can get the call out for projects, we'll get it out and we'll let all of you know when that comes out for formula funds. But I think otherwise and again, as soon as we can confirm that this will be our definite timeline, I will send out calendar invites for all of the meetings.
So
I apologize in advance because they aren't really reoccurring. So you're going to get a lot of meeting invites from me at one time. But
so right now, our next meeting is November 3rd. There's a chance that could change. So stay tuned for emails from Kate. Is there anything else for the good of the cause? Anything else anyone needs to add? Well, once again, thank you everyone for taking some time on this sunny afternoon to take part in this important project that we're working on. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again on November 3rd. You will be hearing from Kate in the meantime. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.